Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. President of the Realtors Association of Jamaica, Edwin Wint, says the transfer of lands by the government to Chinese investors cannot be fairly assessed until the correct value of the exchange is known. The lands were transferred as part of the North-South Highway Development Project to offset the $439 million debt since the start of the construction. The government agreed to hand over the lands to China Harbour Engineering Company, Czech. There has been ongoing debate about the non-valuation of lands to be transferred.
How much of that were we compensating them for by giving the land? And therefore, what is the value that we have exchanged the land for? I don't think that that has been made very clear. And therefore, I find it difficult to make a meaningful comment without all the facts on the table. Let us then assume that when the facts are made very clear, the value that it was exchanged for was reasonable, or even more than what it would have been for a valuation. So there are certain principles involved that you should have done valuation, etc., which is a formal document. But having not done that, which I believe are the guidelines, are we sure that we still didn't get value? And those are the questions I have. And so I am refraining from too much comment until I believe this thing has been properly aired and all the facts are on the table.
And the Prime Minister has intervened in the controversy over the non-valuation of lands transferred to the Chinese investors. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Dr. Horace Chang, says Mr. Holness is reviewing the matter.
I won't comment on that now. It will be reviewed and the Minister will make the appropriate statement in the right time. So the Minister has taken a look at whether the sub-substantive portfolio is the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister is the one who intends to give direction on it because it's not an issue as far as we are concerned that deserves any particular excitement.
Meanwhile, the former Works Minister is defending the decision of the former administration to allocate the lands to the Chinese developers without doing a valuation. Dr. Omar Davies says much thought was put into the decision as several factors were at play. He says the valuations would have impacted the value of the loan, which was a critical factor.
The calculations done indicated that essentially the compensation could not be adequate to service the loan, and essentially that valuation would only give you a clear idea of what the deficiency was, the difference between the value of the land and what it would take to implement that project. It may be different, but it certainly would redound. These are lands which are there and not being utilized in any way, and the extent to which you can stimulate additional development. I think that's was taken into consideration.
2 men were fatally shot by the police and 2 firearms seized during a reported gun battle in the community of Zimbabwe in Trenchtown, St. Andrew early Tuesday morning. The shooting occurred at Paradise Court. One of the men has been identified as Devon Campbell, also known as Chicken. Reports are that about 3 o'clock, the Kingston West Police responded to explosions in the community. Upon entering the area, the police said the team came under sustained gunfire. When the shooting subsided, 2 men were found with bullet wounds. They were taken to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. And 2 men were shot dead and 3 others injured by gunmen on Maxfield Avenue in St. Andrew on Sunday night. The deceased have been identified as 57-year-old Neville White, otherwise called Smokey, and a 25-year-old man known as Fabian of Kingston 11. Reports from the Hunts Bay Police are that about 8 p.m., persons were standing along the road when the gunmen approached them and opened fire. Mr. White and Fabian were pronounced dead at hospital. 2 of the injured were treated and released, while a 15-year-old boy was admitted in stable condition. A man is behind bars following the seizure of a firearm and ammunition on Jones Avenue in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. An AK-47 assault rifle containing 30 cartridges was seized. The seizure took place about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon while the police were conducting an operation in the area. And the Chapelton police are appealing to persons who conduct business in and around the area to be cautious when exchanging large sums of cash. Residents are encouraged to seek the assistance of the police when conducting those types of transactions. The call to action comes after a man robbed a woman of $100,000 while she was on her way to the National Commercial Bank yesterday. The police say the woman was about to enter the bank with a large sum of cash when a man grabbed the bag. A security guard at the bank intervened, but the man escaped with some of the money. $900,000 was recovered, and the police are hunting the suspect. The Office of the Children's Advocate says it will be publishing material aimed at helping parents to guide their children to avoid online dangers. The publication follows a warning about an online game called Blue Whale Challenge. According to some reports, the game has been blamed for the suicide deaths of more than 130 children. It consists of 50 challenges, each of which needs to be performed daily, with some of the acts ending in suicide or serious bodily harm. Mrs. Gordon Harrison states that the material will have specific information for parents to use.
As we speak, we are finalizing the second tranche of what is to come from the Office of the Children's Advocate in terms of the Be Social, Be Smart manual that we had issued last Child Month in May, which really has specific tips and strategies that parents and other adults can employ in a bid to keep children safe in cyberspace. Come later this month, we will be doing disaggregated manuals now, which are a lot more, hands-on and user-friendly for the different age groups that have these specific tips.
The 15-year-old boy who was being questioned by detectives in relation to the death of his two sisters at an apartment complex of Washington Boulevard in St. Andrew has been released into the custody of his mother. Our news center has been informed that his mother is under investigation for child neglect. Children's Advocate Diane Gordon Harrison says further investigations will be conducted to determine why the girls were left in the care of their brother, who is a minor.
Of course, it is concerning to have children who are so young, 4 and 5 years, left with a minor to really take care of them overnight at that. So that is something that we have to look into and we have to assess to determine if the best decision was made in all the circumstances. It's too soon, however, to say definitively what the particular position will be, because you'd appreciate that the information is still being gathered, and after it's gathered, it has to be assessed for us to determine the next best move. But all angles are being considered.
On Friday, the mother of the two girls reportedly left them with their 15-year-old brother at an apartment complex on Gilmore Drive and traveled to Ocheria, St. Anne. She was later told by the teenager that his sisters were motionless and bleeding from their nostrils and mouths. Doctors reportedly told investigators that the injuries were consistent with strangulation. The police are making arrangements to conduct autopsies this week. The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, received 3 additional garbage trucks this morning. This will now bring the total to 9 trucks received since the start of the year. Each truck is valued at approximately £143,000 or a little over 20 million Jamaican dollars. Executive Director of the NSWMA, Aldo Gordon, outlined the different regions where the trucks will be serviced.
One is going to SPM, one is going to NEPM, and one is staying in MPM. Now, MPM, for those who don't know, is the Kingston metropolitan area, St. Catherine and St. Thomas. SPM is Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth, and NEPM is St. Anne, St. Mary and Portland.
Meanwhile, in relation to garbage collection in Portmore, Mr. Gordon says efforts are being made to ensure that enough trucks are servicing the area.
One truck can't clean Portmore. We have 9 trucks at Portmore each day, and we try to keep it at another about 9 each day. But this new one will go in to add reliability to what we already have.
Mr. Gordon maintains that when he joined the NSWMA team in July last year, he promised that at a minimum, each parish would receive 1 truck. Meanwhile, Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie has applauded the work of the NSWMA in their efforts to keep Jamaica clean.
What we have seen at the National Solid Waste Management Authority over the last 12 months is more than I had expected. this organization has moved from down there to up there.
The fleet of fire trucks in St. Elizabeth will increase on Friday when 3 units and a water tanker are handed over to the parish by the Japanese government. This comes just under a year after a memorandum of understanding was signed by the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation and the Japanese government. The units, which arrived in Jamaica in November last year, have been at the Jamaica Fire Brigade's headquarters in Kingston and have since been cleared from the wharf. Students and members of staff at the Mountainside Primary School in St. Elizabeth are in high spirit after receiving 2 air-conditioned units. The units were donated to the school's computer labs by a past student, Brandy Dennis, who is also the junior mayor for the area. The official activation of the units took place last Friday. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie highlighted that this is an opportunity for other students to follow. He also applauded the Junior Mayor program and encouraged more youths to join it.
The Junior Mayor program is a very good one. It exposes the children to the rigors of the political debate, give them an understanding. And that is why when I spoke to them, I encouraged them not to shy away from the political process.
Mr. McKenzie is encouraging parents to support and invest more in their children to make them worthy of the education they are receiving. And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us for 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.